Welcome to the DeFi Standard. This is Mickey B. Fresh. Today, we're going to talk about the future of the XRP ledger with David Schwartz. We have some really great clips that we pulled from the recent Apex Summit and really dive into David Schwartz talking about the future of the XRP ledger. I'm going to start off here with Federated Sidechains and how important they're going to be for 2022 and moving forward for the XRP ledger. We're going into a period here of transition on the XRP ledger, which is going to get a major overhaul of enhancements moving forward. And we're going to go through a few of those today. But just to give an overview of what those enhancements are, they're going to be federated sidechains, hooks, which is like light smart contracts on the network, NFT support, which is going to be a huge amendment, which adds new objects to the XRP ledger, and also the recent announcement at Apex Summit of the automated market maker module that will be added to the XRP ledger. So we're going to dive into those today and really give you a vision of what's to come with the XRP ledger and really where to be looking as a holder of XRP and looking where the ecosystem's going. Like, I understand that bridging CBDCs gets a lot of the attention and the focus, but really right here at this Apex Summit is where some of the best information came out to understand where the vision of the XRP ledger is going and how it's going to have to compete with the rest of the crypto networks out there and these blockchains to be able to build applications around the actual XRP ledger. Because that's what it's about. The value is in the protocol, not necessarily in a token trading out there on exchanges. So let's get into the first clip here where David Schwartz talks about federated sidechains.
The future of the XRP ledger and where we're going. I think today we're going to announce the first release of federated sidechains. Federated sidechains are not a new concept. There are federated sidechains out there, but the way we've implemented them for the XRP ledger is a little bit different. The federated sidechain can be based on any technology. It can be based on the XRP ledger technology, or it can be different. I think it's most interesting where it uses the XRP ledger's consensus algorithms, but it can have completely different transaction semantics. One of the first applications for federated sidechains will probably be Ethereum virtual machine chains. That is a sidechain that implements the Ethereum virtual machine, but that can move tokens to and from the XRP ledger. So what makes them federated is that ability to move Ethereum virtual machine chains. That is a sidechain that implements the Ethereum virtual machine, but that can move tokens to and from the XRP ledger. So what makes them federated is that ability to move tokens. They're operated by a federation. I'm sure most of you have seen Star Trek. You know what a federation is, right? It's a group of entities that are distinct and don't necessarily completely trust each other, but they cooperate to achieve some objective that they couldn't achieve as easily on their own, or couldn't achieve it all on their own. And they have well-defined roles for the federation versus the roles for the individual participant. And that's what federated sidechains do. And they use that federation to move tokens onto and off of the federated sidechain. I expect that federated sidechains will make available new applications that have not been previously possible for the XRP ledger, and a big one is going to be more powerful DeFi. We have a decentralized exchange built into the XRP ledger. We have the first decentralized exchange, probably not been previously possible for the XRP ledger, and a big one is going to be more powerful DeFi. We have a decentralized exchange built into the XRP ledger. We had the first decentralized exchange probably late 2012. But that's about there were not the sort of full DeFi functions that you could get from an Ethereum virtual machine sidechain or a sidechain more tuned towards DeFi features. I think another important.
So that's really powerful what he says right there. So the first federated sidechain is going to use the Ethereum virtual machines, which means it's going to have Ethereum smart contracts. And we know Flare is going to have that. Now, just to recap here, Flare Network and Songbird are not federated sidechains. They are completely their own networks and not any connection to these sidechains. But the XRP ledger has not had the full capabilities of DeFi because it hasn't had the smart contract capabilities. So now having multiple sidechains that have different smart contract capabilities, you could customize those applications for those specific use case. So we already hear that the first one they're going to launch is going to have the Ethereum virtual machine smart contracts. And that's going to really open up what David Schwartz says is DeFi there. And we're going to go into a few clips later. We're going to talk about how he's going to talk about how the automated market maker function is really going to excel DeFi on the XRP ledger. Now, with the decentralized exchange at the heart of the ledger, you could build out all these different side chains that will allow XRP to be moved off the mainnet and onto these side chains. So if you think the more side chains that are created and the more use and utility for XRP, the more XRP that's locked up on the main chain and then used on these side chains. And what does that do? Take supply off of these exchanges. And it gives people who are holding XRP on their cold wallets, not doing anything to contribute to the utility, now able to contribute to the liquidity and other use case and applications. And Ripple recently invested $250 million into NFT support. So here, David Schwartz talks a little about NFTs on the XRP ledger.
NFTs, we hear from just about everybody that they want an NFT strategy. A lot of people aren't sure exactly what they want it for, but they know they want it. And there are a lot of people who do know exactly what they want it for. They're all in. They're bought in. They're going big on them. The XRP ledger has some features that will make it fantastic for NFTs. You have low transaction cost, you have high confirmation speed, and you have a sort of lightweight ledger design. The design of the XRP ledger's internal database is it's just really good for NFTs. We put forward a proposal, 3 people at Ripple, for an NFT standard on the XRP ledger that's built for scale and for volume. We think we're going to see broad adoption of that standard, and that's going to power new use cases into the future. I don't think we know exactly what those for scale and for volume. We think we're going to see broad adoption of that standard, and that's going to power new use cases into the future. I don't think we know exactly what those NFT use cases are going to be at. I think some of them are obvious. Gaming is obvious. Collectibles is obvious. But I think there's a sort of entire universe of NFT applications that people don't really see yet that are going to be very, very big. If you think about it, we all sort of own lots of digital rights. There's all kinds of digital rights that you own. You own digital rights to movies, to video games, to objects in games. And I think it's not just the obvious ones, like the mass market ones, like movies and songs. Your right to that song or that movie could be an NFT that you could take with you from market to market. So this is an extremely exciting area. The other thing.
So NFTs and digital rights, you could see how Ripple's proposing this new standard for the XRP ledger. And it does make a lot of changes. Probably out of all the amendments, the NFT amendment is the biggest enhancement to the XRP ledger. And adding this NFT capability to build in digital rights to the XRP ledger is going to be huge, because now they're investing all this money in NFT development. So moving forward, you could see how NFTs could be digital rights for anything. It's not just gaming and art. Moving forward, we could see different financial instruments represented by NFTs. Tokenization of real estate and art and other assets is going to be represented by NFTs. So it's one of those things we don't fully know all the use cases for NFTs, but to be prepared and have the infrastructure to build applications for those is very important. And that's what the XRP ledger will have moving forward to be able to compete with these other networks. And now on to the really exciting developments that was announced at this Apex Summit. So we knew of federated sidechains. We knew those would come. They already announced. And that's going to be a huge component here, which allows the horizontal scaling of the XRP ledger. So the only way, everything's not going to be able to be done on one main chain network and condense everything into there and fulfill every application's needs. The XRP ledger is specifically designed to be lean to be able to handle payments. But for these other applications, you need the side chains, and they could all have different custom smart contract capabilities. Some could be more centralized, others could be more decentralized. They could have different consensus. They could have different fee structure. They could be set up in all different types of ways. And that really opens it up to creating really decentralized DeFi, creating digital identities, creating institutional use cases that might be more centralized, tokenization use cases, NFTs. So you have a broad spectrum where the sidechains open up every potential use case then to the XRP ledger. But what David Schwartz announces in this next clip, and it's a little long, but I think it's really worth it for everyone to really understand that this is the full vision for the XRP ledger, which has this built-in decentralized exchange with an order book built into the protocol. So it's not like Uniswap, where it's a dApp built on top of Ethereum. The XRP ledger's DEX is built right into the protocol layer. So what David Schwartz announces here is that they're going to build this automated market maker, and it's going to have a mechanism that's going to allow everyone who has XRP to be able to stake XRP to provide liquidity to the system to be able to earn revenue and yield or fees from that staking. So this is something really exciting. It's something Patty and I have speculated on for the past couple of years now. I've talked about, and finally to see it come to fruition, is really exciting. And this is, the evolution of the development needs to happen on the XRP ledger. It can't happen all the way out and just Ripple. It has to happen so everybody, retail, institutional, enterprise, can all interact. XRP is not just for banks. And this right here proves that it's just for retail as much as anybody else. And this is not something we really should even having a debate on. If you're part of the XRP community, you kind of should know this. But for some reason, there's been some conspiracy people out there making it seem like XRP is not for retail, and that it's just completely false. And we have to drive away that misinformation. And David Schwartz explains what automated market maker on the XRP ledger will do.
The other thing that I wanted to talk about is automated market making. As I mentioned before, the XRP ledger is the OG DEX. We had a DEX in 2012. We have cross-currency payments. We have issued assets. We built the XRP ledger. We designed it, and other people have extended it with the payments use case in mind. And that payment use case is a cross-currency payment world. It's a world where some people like dollars, some people like euros, some people like Bitcoin, some people like XRP. It's a multi-token world. It's a tokenized world where maybe other types of assets are tokenized. And liquidity is sort of the secret sauce to making that work. I think personally, my earliest vision that I think has held for 10 years now was this idea of sort of public pools of liquidity. In existing payment systems, you're stuck with that payment system's liquidity. If you use Western Union, you get their cash in, you get their cash out, you get their liquidity, whether you like it or not, and you can't unbundle those things. That early vision was these pools of liquidity that everybody can contribute to and everybody can draw off that are kind of unbundled from the payment system or the asset that you're using to pay with. Automated market makers, I think, will help improve that liquidity because they can capture a long tail of assets better than technologies like order books can. We've been working with the community on an automated market maker implementation for the XRP ledger. And today, for the first time, I think I'm going to let the world know that it has a mechanism that I don't believe exists in any other automated market maker design in the world that allows the stakers, the people who put the liquidity into the automated market maker, to command a larger share of the profits that would normally go to arbitrageurs, increasing the return. I do want to talk about why I think that the XRP ledger is uniquely suited to exploit that type of technology. Automated market makers have lose profit to arbitrageurs. Essentially, as the price of assets change, the market maker doesn't know that the price is different, and so it sort of makes trades at a loss. Arbitrageurs make those trades at a loss to sort of rebalance the AMM, causing what is sometimes called impermanent loss. Although whether or not it's impermanent is up for debate. Now, there are certain mechanisms that maximize the penalty that causes, and there are certain mechanisms that minimize them. And the XRP ledger has three factors that weren't intended for automated market makers. They were intended for payments, but they significantly improve the efficiency of automated market makers and increase the return. And one of those is speed. If you're arbitraging against an automated market maker, you don't know the state of the ledger at the time your transaction executes. You only know the state of the ledger at the time you create your transaction. So you have this latency period during which the price could change or the ledger state could change. With Ethereum, that could be several minutes. With the XRP ledger, that's typically just a couple of seconds. So that's a significant sort of inherent feature of the XRP ledger that makes arbitrageurs arbitrage more efficiently. And the earlier and the quicker an arbitrager arbitrages, the less loss the pool suffers. If an arbitrager waits until the profits are large, that means the losses are big, right? You want an arbitrager to arbitrage as soon as there's an arbitrage opportunity, which is the second feature. If it cost you $50 to arbitrage on Ethereum and less than a penny to arbitrage on the XRP ledger, you're going to make your arbitrage transaction more quickly. You're not going to wait until the potential profit is enormous, and therefore the potential loss to the pool is also enormous. So the fact that the XRP ledger fees are lower is going to mean more of that money that would go to arbitrageurs stays with the people who are staking the pool. And that's what you want, because if people don't stake the pool, there's no liquidity. You want the stakers to reap the rewards of their staking so that there will be these deep pools of liquidity. And the third feature is fairness. How many of you here know what MEV is? No hands, okay, well, one or two. Okay, I got a couple over there. I think those might be Ripple employees. But MEV is what Ethereum miners do sometimes, and they have no choice. Mining is cutthroat. If I can make more money mining than you can, I'm going to grow my mining operation. I'm going to put you out of business by raising the difficulty. If you can make extra money mining, you pretty much have to. You have no choice. You have to do it, because otherwise you'll go out of business. And one of the ways that miners can make more money is by gaming automated market makers and decentralized exchanges. They essentially front run. They say, oh, I'm not going to execute this transaction, and I'm not going to execute this transaction, but ooh, I am going to execute this transaction even though it paid a low fee, because if I put my own transaction in front of it, I can make a profit. Most of those profits are user losses. To some extent, this part of it is to some extent a zero-sum game, right? A front runner who makes money from a trader is taking money out of the trader's pocket. And you can't do that on the XRP ledger because the Federated Byzantine Agreement algorithm doesn't have one, there's no miner, there's no one sort of dictator of the moment who gets to decide what goes in the block. And so those three features of the XRP ledger that it's had, forever, make automated market makers work much, much better. And then with the mechanism that we're working on that will allow the pool to recapture much of the profits that the arbitrage makes, almost as if the pool were arbitraging against itself, we're hopeful that that will incentivize very, very deep pools of liquidity on the XRP ledger that will make movement between tokens very efficient. So that could be, I think that could be a game changer. I also want to talk a little bit about bridges, very deep pools of liquidity on the XRP ledger that will make movement between tokens very efficient. So that could be, I think that could be a game changer. I also want to talk a little bit about bridges.
Wow, that's exciting when you hear David Schwartz saying that could be a game changer. And this is something we've suspected for a while, how we need these deep pools of liquidity on the XRP ledger, directly on it. So this is going to allow everyone who holds XRP to be able to stake. And you see how he explains in detail how it's a superior design than your Uniswaps and mining, where they front run and they take the miner extractable value out of the trader's hand. So Uniswap is a zero-sum game. It's never going to be able to succeed until they eventually move to Ethereum 2.0, and who knows when that's going to be. But this mechanism that he talks about is very interesting, and he doesn't even give away too many hints on it. I mean, we could speculate here a little, and I've talked to Patty about this, and this is two things that I think could be used. So we know how in Uniswap and many of these other DEXs, and even on Flare Finance, they incentivize the liquidity providing with additional rewards. So besides just the fees between trades that you earn, you give additional rewards to incentivize people to provide that liquidity. And with Flare Finance, you get YFIN. Now with the XRP ledger, we don't know if it's going to be a two-sided pool or one-sided. I'm kind of leaning to the one-sided, the way they describe this mechanism, but that's pure speculation on my part there. Because most people are going to easily be able to provide, hey, I got XRP, I stake it, I earn, right? Now, Ripple holds this massive escrow of XRP, and everyone's always asking, well, what is it going to be used for? What's its value? Well, here's one really good use case, incentivizing liquidity by providing additional rewards. How that's actually distributed and that mechanism works, I don't even want to go too much on speculating, but it's possible to use that additional XRP that comes from the escrow to incentivize liquidity, which would mean pay out additional rewards to people who provide XRP as liquidity. That's one possibility. I also see how Ripple uses this line of credit. So this can involve institutions, this can involve retail, whoever's providing liquidity. And he says we want really deep pools of liquidity. You have to incentivize to get liquidity. It just doesn't happen. So them having all this XRP, it's very likely, in my opinion, that they use it in this way. This is how the escrow starts being used in a way, game theory, to be able to incentivize those network effects. And this is really what the whole value of the escrow is, in my opinion, is to use it to drive adoption, utility, and liquidity. This is the value of it. It's not the monetary value at this price, because that value is not always equivalent out to selling it at that price. Ripple doesn't need to sell XRP for their operations. They haven't needed it for well over 3 years. So anyone who tells you, oh, Ripple needs to sell XRP for their business operations hasn't researched XRP in 3 years. So we know they haven't used it for those purposes in the last few years. Then there's the Ripple line of credit. So Ripple has this ability to lend XRP out to institutions without any risk because they have the XRP. It didn't cost them anything. So they could lend massive amounts of XRP to help bootstrap the ecosystem. And they have already done that on RippleNet. But now with this mechanism for automated market makers and driving liquidity, this involves now retail. Finally, the convergence here of retail and liquidity to RippleNet and ODL. And what's at the heart of everything? It's not RippleNet, it's the XRP ledger that's at the heart, and the DEX that is at the heart of this whole ecosystem. And we have to understand the ledger is where the utility takes place for XRP. Now we're going to have this massive ecosystem of all these side chains horizontally scaling XRP. This one might have Ethereum virtual machine smart contracts. The other one might have specialized custom Corda smart contracts. The other one might have digital asset holdings smart contracts or DAML. So we could see different ones for different use cases, but what do they all do? Tap back into the DEX for liquidity. So this is a really exciting time, and it goes to show that the ledger is not fully built out, just like every blockchain. None of them are fully built out. They're going to continue to evolve. But these are the first big enhancements that I've seen since researching XRP, Ripple, and the whole ledger ecosystem. This is really game-changing changes to the ledger that's going to drive massive utility in 2022. Getting retail out of this idea of just, I'm going to hold on my nano ledger till 2025, and then I'm going to sell for massive profit to sell to somebody else. No, these are community-driven networks, and you need community participation for utility to take place. It's not just the banks. And this is very important because there's hundreds of thousands of XRP holders to get everybody involved and bring in more people and drive a larger community in the future. So, and then we have hooks, which isn't talked about in this, but that's light smart contracts. And then we see things like Evernode's going to be launching, which is a layer 2 computation network. And then we're going to see things like Elysion, which is art and NFTs. So we're going to be a huge development adoption wave I see coming in 2022 that's going to take a lot of people by surprise because everyone's looking at CBDCs and private ledgers and flipping the switches. But I really think this is where we should be looking. This is where the development is. This is where the value of XRP is going to get raised from and the adoption is going to come from. And I haven't seen too much discussion about this, but we need to make this the focus for XRP because this is where the adoption will come from, the value and the utility takes place. So I'm going to leave off with the final clip here is David Schwartz talking about the Songbird and Flare network and why it was such a great decision for Flare to launch Songbird as a canary network. Because even these federated sidechains, the similarities are maybe there's new features that they want to add to the XRP ledger in the future. Well, they could test them on these sidechains and then see if they work out. And if they're all good, then implement them into the XRP ledger. Because not everything could be implemented into the XRP ledger for every possible use case, because it just clogs the ledger up. But if it's a new piece of technology that everyone could benefit from, and the validators, approve in an amendment, then it may be worth it. But to test it in a real-world environment with real-world value is really powerful moving forward. And this is what Songbird allows for Flare, and what these sidechains allow for the XRP ledger. So we'll leave off with David Schwartz talking about the Songbird and Flare network.
The disasters in the industry with projects that scaled up to huge amounts of money before they had the technical wherewithal to be able to handle those amounts. I think it's responsible what Flare did, where they built Songbird, and Songbird is handling real money, but it's not sort of their live network. It's like an experimental and test network where you can sort of fail more gracefully. But if it succeeds, then Flare will launch with much more confidence.
I think that's great what he says there. And now just to pivot this just for a second into Flare, is what he says, I think really rings home. If Songbird is successful and all the protocols and all the network and the F-asset system, the state connector and the FTSO work out good on Songbird, it's going to be more successful for Flare. So Flare will launch with more success right out the gate because it's already been tested, it's already been proven with real world value on the Songbird network. And that's why I think they built this, and I think it's an excellent decision, as David Schwartz said. And I know it delayed Flare, and it delayed you from getting your free tokens, but that's okay. You're going to have to wait. I'd rather have the network launching with enterprise grade quality out the gate than just like getting it out there. Everyone gets their tokens and now we figure it all out. And we see a lot of these networks taking years. Look at Cardano. It took 4 or 5 years just to get smart contracts up. Flare is going to launch with full smart contracts, full state connector system, full F assets, FTSO, everything ready to go out the gate. And these side chains too on the XRP ledger are going to launch with full smart contract capabilities. And we're going to see these side chains scale out. Now, I feel like there's going to be some questions. Well, can Ripple launch the side chains? Absolutely. Ripple X can launch multiple different side chains for NFTs, for DeFi, for other use cases. We could also see Bank of America launch one. We could see different partners, SBI launching side chains. I mean, it gives them the capability to launch these private side chains that maybe they can only do on Hyperledger, on Corda. Now you could do that right off the XRP ledger. So basically, these side chains are for everybody. And I think it opens up the possibilities that are endless now moving forward in the future. So in 2022, XRP. I'm Mickey B. Fresh, and I'm out.